What's up, Hoosier Nation? It's your best friends from Indiana HQ here, alongside Matt Lukens. I'm Nithin Christian. We're both contributors for IndianaHQ.com, as you can see on this wonderful shirt that I'm wearing. Make sure you head over to IndianaHQ.com to follow us and check out all the articles we've got coming out on a daily basis on social media, Twitter, Facebook. You can find us at Indiana HQ on Instagram. We're Indiana.HQ. You can find us right here on YouTube as well. So, what we've tried to pick up here in the last few days, actually, in fact, just today on this wonderful Thursday afternoon, is starting a new rapid reaction series where we see news come out over the last day or the last couple days and post a quick bite-sized video on how Matt and I, who watch every single football game and every single basketball game and every single other game that Indiana plays, and just tell you guys what we think. And today, on this episode of Rapid Reaction, we're going to talk about Jaren Handy. And you may ask, Nithin, who is Jaren Handy? Well, as we reported on Indiana HQ yesterday, Handy is a defensive line transfer who's coming over from Auburn. Now, make sure you guys get your facts right when you talk about this in the office or at school or at the water cooler or on the Zoom calls. When you talk about Jaren Handy, he originally committed to LSU. That's right, LSU. You're seeing some misinformation out there. He originally committed to LSU, then flipped to Auburn before his college career started. At Auburn, he played a very reserved role, played sparingly. Obviously, there's a lot of competition that the Tigers throw out every season in a big-time conference. There was a major physical shift that Auburn tried to do. Gus Malzahn as their coach. They tried to make Handy slimmer. If you check his 24/7 sports profile, he checked in at 278 pounds. That was when he was in high school. At the college level, Auburn's official website lists him at 252. So here's what you need to know about Handy. He was a 4-star recruit per 24/7 sports. His big moment came in late in a game in Tuscaloosa when he took down Alabama backup quarterback Bryce Young. We're going to show you that highlight in just a second. But Matt, big time get for Tom Allen. He dips into the transfer pool, gets Jaren Handy. Tell Hoosier Nation what they need to know about their newest defensive lineman.
Yeah, he would be, if he came to IU straight out of high school, would have been the second highest ever recruit for IU. He was ranked number 100 exactly in his class of 2018 or class of 2019. Sorry. So he's a very young, very promising prospect. Again, most guys in college football don't get a lot of playing time their freshman year. He was lucky enough to see the field a little bit last year and some smaller minutes, especially in some garbage time stuff. But again, he's a young guy, and Auburn had a very good defense last year. So that was not the problem with Auburn's team last year. It was not the defense. It was most definitely the offense. So as Nithin will hit play here, and the biggest part of this clip is not that, you see, it's garbage time, whatever, backup QB in. The point to look at is the guy number 70 he just blew past is Alex Leatherwood. Now, if you don't know who Alex Leatherwood is, Alex Leatherwood was the Raiders' first-round pick that they moved up to take in the draft, which had a lot of people shaking their heads because they thought they could get him in the second round. But still, first-round NFL draft pick, Alex Leatherwood, that was drafted by the Raiders and just blew past him like he wasn't even there, made him look silly. So this is the kind of talent this guy has. Now, again, they're trying to slim him down, like Nithin said. They're trying to mold him into whatever they wanted him to be, become at Auburn. And I guess he didn't agree with that, so he went into the transfer portal. Hopefully IU can get him on the same page, and they can get him on a weight program where he feels comfortable and feels like the staff is putting him in a spot to succeed, because this guy has the talent to be a standout player in the Big Ten.
Yeah, a few things I want to talk about there. I'm not even sure if Handy agreed or disagreed with sort of Auburn's vision for him as a defensive player. We'll see what Tom Allen and Charlton Warren want to do with Handy now that he's here. Want to clarify, he's got 3 years of eligibility left, so that's something to pay attention to here. He has plenty of time to get better. and to develop. But I also wouldn't be surprised if he did make an immediate impact at Indiana, where right now the defensive line's got some good pieces. I've always been a fan of James Head Jr., who's going to line up at defensive end for IU this year. DeMarcus Elliott and Big Co, they're going to be up front playing in the interior of the defensive line. But I could see Handy join Head as well as Michael Ziemba and maybe CJ Person as a kind of rotational piece on the edge. And that's going to be such a huge advantage for Indiana and for Handy. Once again, in case you guys missed it, look, first of all, we want to give a shout out to CBS Sports. This is their official video. They aired this Auburn-Alabama game from 2020. Again, Handy's right here. If you can see my mouth, he's the right defensive end, number 55. And he just buzzes right by Leatherwood to take down Alabama quarterback Bryce Young. And what it all comes down to is in the Big Ten, you need all the interior, and by interior I mean trench pieces that you can have. All the offensive linemen, all the defensive linemen. I love Indiana adding a guy like Zach Carpenter on the offensive line, Michigan transfer. I love that they added Ryder Anderson, defensive line transfer from Ole Miss. And now you talk about adding Jaren Handy, the defensive line transfer from Auburn. So, Matt, really what it all comes down to is Tom Allen is taking those successful seasons in 2019 and 2020 and getting the kind of player in the transfer portal that originally, before Indiana's success, would have gone to play for Notre Dame or USC or Ohio State or Michigan if they went into the transfer portal. So this is the kind of recruiting success that comes with victories. Isn't that how you see it?
Absolutely. These are the type of guys that transfer from Auburn to, like, let's say Mississippi State, and they become standout players at Mississippi State by the time they're a senior and they go to the NFL draft. And Jaren had a second round draft grade, a second or third round draft grade on 24/7 Sports, which is obviously can tell you a lot about his talent and the promise that he had coming out of high school. But yeah, these are the type of guys that transfer somewhere. Exactly. They don't get the shot at the school they went to, but they stick with the school that they transfer to, and they become breakout stars their junior or senior year. So I am excited to see this. Again, this might not be the end either, Nithin, of the transfer portal business for IU.
No, it may not. And there's, we'll see how the next few weeks go here. There's still plenty of time before the regular season gets going. Plenty of time even before fall camp gets going. Don't forget about DJ Matthews, either the slot receiver who came over from Florida State, another transfer player. Again, these are Power 5 to Power 5 transfers that Tom Allen is going out and getting, and he's selling to these players the vision at Indiana. He's selling to players, hey, we've got Nick Sheridan here, an up-and-coming offensive coordinator. We got Charlton Warren now, the superstar defensive coordinator now at Indiana, who came over from Georgia. By the way, Warren had, I believe, 4 Georgia defensive backs picked in the NFL draft. And just so you know, Warren wasn't the defensive coordinator at Georgia. He was the defensive backs coach at Georgia. And the 4 defensive backs that played at Georgia got selected in the draft. Not even undrafted free agents latching on to an NFL team. 4 DBs drafted in the NFL draft back in late April that Warren coached last season. So, Matt, super exciting to see Handy come over. That concludes our rapid reaction. Jaren Handy commits to Indiana after jumping into the transfer portal, played a couple years at Auburn, 3 years of eligibility, remaining 6'5", 252-pound defensive end. Make sure you stick with us, like and subscribe this video right here on Indiana HQ. Make sure you follow us Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We're your one-stop shop for IU sports, and we'll see you next time whenever there's something that we need to rapidly react to.
Peace and love. Go Hoosiers.